This is KGW News at noon.
We start this afternoon with breaking news. The attempted murder suspect who escaped from custody late Wednesday night in Salem was found this morning and is now back in custody. Christopher Prey was found stuck in mud up to his armpits in a pond in North Portland. Portland Fire and Rescue shared these pictures. It took an hour to pull him out of that mud. Prey was then taken to the hospital and he gave a fake name, but an alert hospital worker recognized him and contacted police. Prey was able to escape custody Wednesday night after he was transferred from Multnomah County Jail to the Oregon State Hospital in Salem. Police say he managed to steal a minivan, led police on a chase along I-5, and got away, all while wearing leg shackles, handcuffs, and a belly chain that connected them all together. Prey is now back in the custody of Portland police. One of our other top stories this afternoon is the latest attempt to stop people from using drugs openly on Portland streets. It's something Mayor Ted Wheeler proposed months ago, and now the city is trying to push the idea again. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Drew Carney. This morning, City Council jointly announced a new resolution on this issue that they'll then introduce next week. The new proposal is basically the same as what the mayor proposed before, with one change. So it would expand the existing city law that makes it illegal to drink liquor in public to include using drugs in public. Violators could be fined up to $500 or get 6 months in jail, or both. KGW's Pat Doris talked with City Commissioner Renee Gonzalez about the problem of people using drugs in the open in Portland.
We're all seeing it, regularly, this outside consumption of hard drugs, and then one comes after it. We don't want our kids inhaling that as they're walking down the street. We don't want to breathe it. And we certainly don't want to see the behaviors that come in the immediate aftermath.
The difference between Wheeler's first proposal and this new one is what's called a trigger amendment. A trigger amendment means the law would be immediately enforceable after state lawmakers or courts take action. Pat Doris did a deeper dive on this issue last night during the story, which now airs weeknights at 6:30. You can find last night's report on KGW.com and on the KGW YouTube page. We also have an update this afternoon on this morning's deadly car crash in the Park Rose neighborhood of Northeast Portland. Police say the car hit a utility pole at Northeast 112th and Sandy Boulevard just after 5 this morning. The driver was already dead when first responders got there. There were also downed cables in the street, but they weren't live wires. Sandy Boulevard was closed for hours, but it's now back open. As we head into Labor Day weekend, we know a lot of people are heading out of town for the unofficial end of summer. NBC's Tom Costello has more on some of the most popular spots for Labor Day travel.
Yeah, good day. Listen, if you have not left the house already, then good luck. You're going to have an awful lot of traffic, and nearly a third of the country, is expected to go somewhere over this long weekend. We're looking at 95 million people driving, 14 million people flying. Domestic hold bookings are up 4% this year over a year ago. International bookings up 44%. Here are the top destinations. International destinations: Vancouver, Rome, London, Dublin, and Paris. Domestic destinations: Seattle, as well as Orlando, Anchorage, New York, and Vegas. If you're driving, the average gas price across the country, $3.81 a gallon, almost exactly where it was a year ago. And yes, we know California paying a lot more than that, $5.30 on average out in California. Down in Louisiana, those folks are just paying $3.36 a gallon. Not bad there at all. Worst time to drive. This is going to be a rough one between noon and 9 p.m., so leave early if you can. And then I can tell you that 14 million people at the nation's airports traveling. We are looking at a record summer of air travel. 227 million people were flying this summer. If it felt congested, it was. 2.5 million people every single day. We're going to do it all again on the backside. People coming back from Labor Day on Monday, on Tuesday. And to use a cliche, pack your patience. Back to you.
All right, advice from Tom Costello there. Tom did talk about gas prices, so here's how it looks right now in the Northwest. According to AAA, Oregon's average price for gas is $4.75 a gallon, and it's even higher right now in Washington at $5.10 a gallon. So that tells me, Rod, that you'll be filling up your tank here close to work before you head back home to Vancouver.
You would think, but I don't do it with pride and joy, but I do fill up in Washington. All right, here we go. We have a little bit of rain on the radar out in eastern Oregon. Nothing stormy so far today, but there is the chance that there will be some thunderstorms in these areas across eastern Oregon a little bit later today. We had some showers that were up around Mount St. Helens. See them right there, but then they kind of fizzled. A reminder that I am still telling you it's possible at some point later today here on the west side of our state that we will see a shower. But right now, the bigger story is the sun. Look at the folks out there on the beach. That's Cannon Beach Live for us. Absolutely gorgeous, 69 degrees. Been sunny there pretty much all day long. Starting to see the clouds just now break up somewhat out in the East Gorge. This is the Oregon Veterans Home Camp out in the Dalles. So if you're traveling on 84, getting ready to leave, you'll see a lot of clouds, generally speaking still, but partly cloudy skies trying to develop. Downtown is just gorgeous. We are at 72. It looks like we'll get up to 80. In fact, it's looking like we'll probably get a little bit above 80 this afternoon. Now for the weekend, the main weather element that I want you to be aware of, this is tomorrow evening. That's a thunderstorm trying to make its way up into Eugene. That could fade away, but there's another storm around Mount Hood that potentially could drift into the valley later in the evening on Saturday. So a Saturday scattered thunderstorm chance, probably the number one warning or to be aware of element in the weekend forecast for now. Back to you.
Hey Rod, something else you and I were talking about today besides the weather, Pac-12 sports. So now there are only 2 teams left in the conference because today Stanford and Cal officially joined the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC. Again, that leaves Oregon State and Washington State as the only 2 teams left in the Pac-12 trying to figure out where they're going to play next season. Earlier today, we did hear from Beavers athletic director Scott Barnes, who gave his reaction to today's developments.
Although we had hoped for a better outcome here, this outcome certainly was anticipated, and our plans relative to this consideration have been ongoing. You know, our coaches and our student athletes know the value of this wonderful university, and that's something that hasn't changed. We will continue to shout from the mountaintop how great this university is, the success that our student athletes and coaches enjoy as we move forward.
Again, it's not clear where Beavers football will go next season. This season, they will play a full Pac-12 schedule. In fact, their football season starts this weekend, Sunday, against San Jose State. The church in Salem plans to have Mass this weekend, despite the fact that the fire at the church gutted the building. Parishioners gathered there last night to pray outside St. Joseph's Catholic Church. Investigators say 48-year-old Billy Sweeten started that fire. It spread from a dumpster to the historic church that sits on Chemeketa Street. A priest living in a nearby building did manage to get out.
Hope. We have a good community, a good God. It happened for a reason. It sucks, but it's no reason to despair. And the fact that it's arson gives us more reason to pray for those involved.
It's one of the parishioners there. St. Joseph serves nearly 3,000 people and offers Mass in multiple languages. It's also a school. The building was dedicated in 1953, but the parish itself has met in Salem since 1853, 6 years before Oregon became a state. A man convicted in the death of a Clark County Sheriff's deputy 2 years ago will spend more than 27 years in prison. Abran Rea Leon drove the getaway car after Deputy Jeremy Brown was shot and killed. A judge sentenced him to the maximum punishment for his role in that crime. Back in 2021, Deputy Brown was doing undercover work at a Vancouver apartment complex connected to a big gun theft and resale scheme. Rea Leon's brother went outside and killed Deputy Brown. The deputy's family spoke in court ahead of that sentencing.
Jeremy loved fiercely, and it was evident in every aspect of his life. None of us are the same without him.
Just in the past 2 years since the incident, Jeremy has missed being the best man in his son's wedding. He wasn't here to walk either of his daughters down the aisle.
The trial will start next week for Rea Leon's brother, who again pulled the trigger.